Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with an Ezreal updated complete guide, continuing on with our, of course, series of updated complete guides ever since patch 6.3 was released. I mean, nowadays we're getting like weekly updates at this point of A, B, and C. So we're already on like the C patch, but with all that said, sorry. Of course, don't forget to check out Ezreal's basic guide up in the cards above right now for his skills, leveling order, tips, and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But with that said, now let's move into talking about his items, runes, and spells. So, in terms of overall items, runes, and spells, not too much has really changed, except one thing, which I'll get into in a bit. So, firstly, your first three items, right? Core items on Ezreal. You always go for the Gluttonous Greaves, Rush in lane for that early game AD and Omnivamp to fight in lane, because Ezreal is a pretty strong early game champion. Then you go for Manamune, which of course when you evolve is going to give you extra damage on your abilities and your auto attacks, as well as providing you with a lot of mana so that you can actually spam your Q. And then of course you have Triforce. Triforce of course gives you all the nice stat line, as well as giving you Spellblade, which you can proc on your Q. Now, in terms of the build order, normally what I do is after boots, I like to go for tier to start stacking it, and then straight into Sheen, so that I have that extra early game damage with Sheen. However, if I can complete my entire Manamune, I will do that and skip Sheen until later on. So then you go to your last three items. Now, Ezreal has been having the same last three items for eons now, and it's pretty much always been the same case where the order really is dependent on the game. But most people have realized that Sorela's Grudge is actually a really strong item, even though it did just get nerfed. So if you take a look at the top players, not the influencers, pretty much everybody's going for Sorela's Grudge as a third item, and that's what I'm going for as well. Because with Grudge, you of course get ability haste, you get a ton of AD to be honest, and then you get your armor pen and you get the slow passive, which is of course very useful in Ezreal. When you hit your Qs, it makes it easier to hit your subsequent skills. It of course helps you kite people out, and of course you also can apply the extra bleed damage and apply grievous wounds with the Sorela's Grudge as well. Then of course you have Blade of the Rune King. Now Blade of the Rune King, the main purpose is two things, right? Firstly, it gives Ezreal some form of like tank shredding ability, and secondly, the attack speed and physical vamp is just very helpful, right? So of course, physical vamp is always going to be helpful, and the attack speed is actually very handy because even though Ezreal is a spellcaster, you actually auto attack a lot as well. Ezreal outputs a lot of DPS just through auto attacking, so that is where the attack speed from here comes in. And of course, you still have Riftmaker, which is always going to be a solid item, Omnivamp as well as true damage. However, I'm slowly seeing that Riftmaker is, for me, slowly falling towards last item status instead of like third item status, just because number one, Grudge is great, and number two, the attack speed and the tank shredding ability of Bork is actually nowadays very handy, so I'm often going for Riftmaker last item nowadays. For the runes, I think the best rune you can go for in Ezreal is going to be Conqueror, because it's decent in lane and it's great in mid to late game where you get extra AD and extra Omnivamp. Now, press the attack slash empowerment, very, very strong in lane, but kind of falls off towards the later stages of the game. The rest is the standard ADC loadout. I just want to point out how you go for Alacrity here, because as I mentioned, a lot of damage comes from auto attack, so you still want to go for Alacrity and not Bloodline. You could go for Bloodline if you prefer, but I think Alacrity is just better for your DPS. Now, for the spells, you really have two main options, right? You go for Flash, and your first option is Cleanse if there's CC on the enemy team that you need to cleanse. Your other option is going to be Barrier. Now, I think Barrier is a very, very strong summoner spell that is very underrated by a lot of people still. I think it's definitely getting more popular, but I love Barrier. I love taking Barrier. Exhaust is also an option as well, but I personally do prefer taking Barrier. But with all that said, now let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, since moving on to the gameplay as usual, of course, as usual as well, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I will be sure to address them or drop a like. So, Ezreal, one of his main strengths is his safety, of course, with the mobility you have on your E, as well as the fact he's not very support dependent at all. Speaking of supports, we're playing against a Sion support in this game, and we're playing against a Caitlyn, right? So actually, right at the very beginning, we're getting a lot of damage onto Caitlyn. We have a full stack Conqueror here, where she has fleet footwork, which is not good in long fights. We land another Q onto Caitlyn for some extra poke. Sion flashes in with the knockup, exhausts me, but Caitlyn not following up thus far. Sion taking a lot of damage. Sion goes down. And here is a little bit awkward part. So he's trying to run down my Lux, right? I actually have a full stack Conqueror still. I'm trying to switch targets onto the Caitlyn. However, I die right there. I underestimate the power of the Sion Ghost. So what I was trying to do there is I realized that I have kill potential on Caitlyn. So I thought my best option was to flash forward, barrier and then like Q/auto the Caitlyn to kill her, right? Or both, right? So, but what I didn't notice is while I tunnel vision on trying to kill Caitlyn, I did not notice the Scion whacking me, and then like my health bar just disappearing with the Scion ghost, and then I'm just like, uh-oh. Like the moment I flash forward and barrier, I just die instantly, so that was just very, very ugly. I mean, it was played well by me at the beginning of the fight to slowly stack up my Conqueror and chip away at them and then kill Scion when he overextended. But afterwards, it was very poor, committing flash and barrier there. I should have obviously just backed off because Scion Ghost is no joke. And now we're back to business, right? Scion once again trying to go for that knock-up. And we once again get a full stack Conqueror, which we can definitely take advantage of if we can actually land some abilities and keep it stacked up. Now, Scion is making the job easy by stepping up, so we can easily land spells on him or even autos on him. And this, of course, will then allow us to keep our Conqueror stacked up as far as possible. So when we get into the eventual fight, which Scion desperately is trying to start, you can see by his very aggressive positioning, we will be in a spot where we can actually deal more damage because of our Conqueror compared to Caitlyn's fleet footwork. Of course, taking note of the runes is a very important skill to have in Wild Rift as well, just because obviously you need to know whether your rune wins against the enemy or not. Sometimes the champion matters, but the runes matter a lot as well, right? Like a Caitlyn with a lethal tempo is very different from a Caitlyn with a fleet footwork, where in a long fight, lethal tempo versus Conqueror is a very competitive matchup, and of course Caitlyn probably outputs more DPS than Ezreal, but in a situation where she has fleet and I have Conqueror, I actually think I win the long fight. Right, so here I'm actually running out of mana, but the thing is that I don't quite have enough to really get what I want yet, so I'm actually staying in lane just to get the last few minions that I need. And at the same time, I'm just trying to land some poke, so I have some kind of pressure in lane. But the issue with doing that is that now I'm completely out of mana, and I'm going to have to pop the fruit just to get the mana, which is, you know, still a good use of the fruit in my opinion. So we want to push out this wave, and we want to base now that we actually have the gold that we need. Once again, we're just auto-attacking the Scion just to keep our Conqueror stacked up whenever we can, and just landing poke. Right? That's just the game plan of Ezreal. So let's talk about why I picked Ezreal this game. So normally you guys know I like to pick Ezreal into matchups where I need that extra mobility, extra safety. Now in this game, I guess that mobility and safety does matter in a sense that you can hop away from Cannon ult, from Scion knock-up, you know, from Ziggs ult, from things like that. But I wouldn't say it's the most important thing in the world, right? So the main reason why I'm going for Ezreal in this matchup is really for two reasons. Firstly is the lane matchup, right? Caitlyn is very hard to deal with in lane, right? For a lot of champions, right? If you choose a mid-range champion like Draven or Kai'Sa, for example, you're gonna get bullied, right? As Caitlyn here, caught in the bush, and I go on top of her, and I'm able to deal a little bit of damage onto her. And then if you pick a short-range all-in champion like Samira or Ezreal, not Ezreal, Samira or Lucian, you're gonna have an all-in advantage, but you're gonna get poked out, and it's really hard to go in, right? So really, when I see Caitlyn on the enemy team, I like to pick a couple of champions, right? Like the versus Caitlyn champion pool are champions like Ezreal, who can poke from afar, Ashe, who can kind of match Caitlyn's range almost, champions like those, or MF, who's a good lane neutralizer who can just bounce off minions and poke Caitlyn from afar instead of having to engage in combat with her. You know, these sort of champions are the kind of champions I like to pick against Caitlyn if I pick later than her. Right, so here, Caitlyn has backed, of course, to recall, and we are now just against the Scion, which is a completely fine situation. Lee Sin nearby though. And the other reason why I picked Ezreal as well is because I have a Lux, right? So since like I have a Lux already who picked before me, it's a little bit hard for me to pick ADCs with Lux, right? Because in my opinion, let's get back to the conversation later, as Lee Sin is going into our jungle for an invade. Full-on fight breaks out with the Scion ulting in. It's now a 4v4 with Scion going down. His ghost is gonna come out, so we have to be careful of that. He's trying to run us down again with the ghost. We flash forward, going for the kill onto Caitlyn. We spot Ziggs in the background. We're going to use the ulti to get rid of the Ziggs. Caitlyn's still running away. Lee Sin flashing toward danger, trying to trade the kill onto the Lux, which he does get before he dies. Now here, both me and Caitlyn very low. I eat a Caitlyn Q, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm pretty low. So here Caitlyn autoing me, I pop the barrier, I'm trying to auto her down, and I end up dying to her. Now, the issue is, Caitlyn's standing inside of the wave, and when she does that, I cannot hit her with my Q, so I can only auto her. And I'm thinking that even with that, I probably can kill her because of my Conqueror, but unfortunately, once again, in a pretty intense mechanical situation, once again, Caitlyn comes out on top, and I end up with egg on my face yet again. This time, I don't think I played it as badly. I mean, eating the Caitlyn Q there probably was the biggest mechanical misplay there. If I didn't eat that Caitlyn Q, I think it would have been fine. And of course, Caitlyn very smart to stand in the wave. I would have done the same, and Caitlyn barely wins the auto attack battle. I think the fleet actually saved her there with that small little heal. But anyways, we're back into the action, right? So let's go back to the conversation topic about playing supports with Lux, right? So when you play with a Lux, right, I think there's only really two ways you can really go about it. Number one, you go for someone who can follow up on Lux's CC, right? When Lux gets the binding, you go for someone like, for example, a Caitlyn, who can, of course, follow up with the trap or the combo, as we're taking a ton of damage here, popping the fruit Lux with the shield as well. We barely survive, and we manage to bait in the Scion, and we finish him off with the ulti, right? Or someone like a Jhin who can follow up with the W, where Lux roots and then you follow up root, and then you can try to burst the person down. Or alternatively, you go for someone with poke, right? So, for example, somebody like Ezreal, right? Very, very good poke. Of course, Caitlyn kind of the best of both worlds because she has both poke and follow-up CC for the Lux as well. So that's why Caitlyn Lux is such a dominant combo where you can get prio in lane, you can poke people out, you can combo people and stuff. But of course, Caitlyn already picked by the enemy team, so I can't really pick Caitlyn, right? So I actually picked Ezreal also kind of to play around my support. So the reasons I pick Ezreal in this particular game a little bit different from when I normally pick Ezreal, but definitely still works out, right? Scion here somehow manages to steal the dragon. We get the kill onto him, and the ghost, of course, is now coming out to run us down. We get a pretty nice ulti onto a couple of people here. Lee Sin is over the wall, and we know that, so we definitely want to be careful. I want to block for Lux here, but Lux actually sidesteps the block, so Lux takes a lot of damage. Lee Sin still on the flank here, but Lee Sin on too long of a flank because now his Caitlyn and his Ziggs are in trouble, and he's still trying to catch up to the fight. Goes in onto the Lux under the tower and gets rid of her, while we get the trade kill onto the Caitlyn. Now, Lee Sin trying to run down the 1 HP Wukong with the heal. Wukong wasting a lot of the Lee Sin's time, allowing me to get the kill onto the Lee Sin. And now Scion is on the chase. Ziggs tries to follow up, but eats a Q from me and nearly dies from it. I thought that Q was going to kill him, not going to lie. So here I was trying to get the snipe on him under the tower, but little did I know, he, number one, picked up the fruit. And number two, he's no longer under the tower because he's here with the Scion, Hullbreaker Scion, trying to push down the tower. Now, I'm sure most of you guys know this by now, but the new Hullbreaker doesn't actually rely on your teammates being away from you. You still get the passive when your teammates are near you. So, the new Hullbreaker is definitely a very good, like, pushing kind of tool because, of course, it helps you with taking towers. It makes your minions tankier, and it doesn't get disabled by your teammate anymore. So I mean, definitely it's a very niche item. Not a lot of people go for it, but I have been seeing it more and more. And I think that there is potential that it's actually a very good hidden OP item, just that people are not really using it very much because it's not as strong as the old Hullbreaker for sure. It helps you with pushing and stuff, but it doesn't make you tankier and stuff, which is what it used to do. I mean, the old Hullbreaker was just a menace, right? Like, everybody was just going for it. So here you can see the full combo of Ezreal into the ulti as well. Ziggs lives on 1 HP. Really unfortunate there. Like, that's the full W into EQ alt, like the full combo without any autos in between, which that auto would have gotten him killed if I got an auto off in between. But you can really see, like, when Ezreal hits his 2-item power spike, just how strong he really is. Like, he can just really yeah, like, he can go for those one-shotty kind of combos as well. Now, Scion goes AFK there randomly for a second. A whole fight is now breaking out with 4v4, I think it is, or 5v5 at this point. Lee Sin gets completely caught out in the bush, which was warded. He goes down immediately, and that kind of kicks off the fight for us. We get rid of the cannon, and Ziggs now 1 HP. He goes down, and Caitlyn's the last one standing on her team. We get the ult onto her as well as clearing the minions at the same time. She's like 1 HP at this point. We get the ring onto her. Victor finishes off the kill. And we get a clean 5-0 ace, which I think this is the real, like, turning point of the game, because we were behind in terms of goal against the enemy team, although it wasn't too bad of a deficit. But with us getting the ace, we're able to get mid lane tower. We're able to go for the mid lane tier 2 as well. Lux is pushing in the top lane, and we need to back off here. I'm not sure why Victor and Nautilus are still walking up, because this is definitely not where you want to be. You're not going to get anything more than the tier 2 tower. So they kind of troll it here by overextending. I'm going to just run away. I don't want to donate in a kill to enemy team. I realized Lee Sin's low though, so I actually launched an ult. I hit a 4-man Ezreal ult there and killed the Lee Sin as I expected, which is really all that I was going for here. Lux, in the meantime, is taking the top lane tower. So at the end of the day, I guess we distracted the enemy team from defending the top lane. But definitely, Victor and Nautilus overextending there. That was not the play. Like, I don't know why we're doing that. But we are able to personally escaped scot-free. We're also the most fed member in the game. Of course, Lee Sin closely behind. He's been doing very well throughout the game. But a blunder, big blunder there by him in the last team fight. The last team fight being the one in our jungler where he was trying to find a flank, but was actually sitting on a ward without knowing and just gets chain CC'd and dies, contributing nothing to the fight. And then of course after that he took too much damage from the Victor and Nautilus and allowed me to ult him, which killed him once again. So 2 quick deaths to him in the last couple of minutes. Now here's Sion trying to split push. Nautilus and Wukong now coming in, and I realized we can go for a kill onto the Sion. Sion wasted his ult already into the wall, and so it's just a matter of who gets the kill. Ends up becoming Wukong. And we're also in position to go for a Baron if we want to. Ziggs spotted under the tower. I'm trying to get the prio here. Now honestly, Dragon is up, right? So there's a chance the enemy team is actually just doing the Dragon right now. So I think we should be going for the Baron, and Wukong has the right idea here. He's going for the Baron as well. So we're bursting on the Baron pretty quickly. Lee Sin is actually in the area. I think he suspects something's happening. And he is making his way into the pit. He gets chain CC'd by Wukong and actually kills Wukong. Like, he just bursts the Wukong down with his 3 items. But thankfully we kill him in return. So it's a 1-for-1 trade in terms of jungle for jungle. And we pick up the Baron. Now here's the safety I was talking about. Kennen there comes in with the ulti. Does kill the Lux, but as a result of my Arcane Shift, I'm able to get out of range of his ulti, so he's not able to damage me, and then I'm able to finish him off. So here I'm thinking that a stasis would be pretty good here. I'm probably not going to get the stasis right there. I'm going to get it eventually because we can use it to mitigate the Kennen ultimate, Lee Sin if he jumps in and wants to kick us, Ziggs ultimate, Caitlyn ultimate even. So I'm really looking to get a stasis this game, but at this point I'm kind of thinking that I'm so fed and I'm not having major problems surviving at the moment. So I'm going to start going into my Bork. Of course, as I mentioned, number 1 helps me out a lot with my DPS when I auto attack, and number 2, of course, helps me deal with this Sion who is becoming a very annoying frontline. So here Wukong doing the Dragon, I'm just heading over to help him. We can see Kennen and Lee Sin coming over, so we quickly secure the Dragon and we're going to get out of dodge, right? Lee Sin still might be somewhere around. We let Nautilus face check the bushes for us and he's actually not there, which just surprised me quite a bit. And it turns out he's over there. However, only Lee Sin and Ziggs are here to defend the mid lane, and the minions are already destroying the tower, so it only needs like 3 autos for me to actually destroy their mid lane tower. Not too big of a challenge at all. Now once again, Nautilus and it's Lux this time is overextending into the enemy base. Like, we don't need to do this. We cannot do anything to the enemy base, right? We need to get out. But as usual, they don't. So Lux immediately dies, of course, because she's a squishy support. And Nautilus is now getting run down by 4 people. This does, however, delay the time for myself and Victor to get the tier 2 in the bot lane. So at least they died for something. But again, this is just some needless overextension from my team. Like, why are we doing this? It doesn't make sense. There's nothing more you can get, just back on off. So here Kennen's in the mid lane. I'm here to see some eye gouging kind of misses from me, right? We don't really hit anything here. We are able to dodge the Sion ulti because we are Ezreal. But Victor, unfortunately, does not have the same luxury. So Victor goes down, to that Sion ulti combo. And here I'm trying to back, but Lux hits a ulti onto Kennen. I realize Kennen is in range to die. So here I try to snipe the Kennen. Unfortunately, I don't quite hit. And then I really need to reset to get my Bork. But as I'm doing that, my team is starting a fight. I'm like, uh-oh, like maybe I should not have reset. Maybe I need to be here following up my team engaging. But thankfully, it appears that they're winning the fight just fine without me, which on one hand, I'm really happy to see. On the other hand, it's like, wait a minute, am I really, valuable part of the team if they don't really need me? Anyways, so we complete our 4th item, and Kennen here, yeah, you can see here we're just trying to land a spell on Kennen, but we're not really hitting him. He's a little bit fast, a little bit good at dodging, or we just have bad aim. But yeah, he basically escapes with his crown still intact, which is a crime. Now he's trying to rush in with his ulti. He barely does any damage to me. I'm able to Arcane Shift out of the way, and he barely does any damage to Lux. So I'm at this point without his ulti, he's basically neutralized as a threat. Ziggs ulti comes in, does a decent amount of damage, I guess. But at the end of the day, just look at us. We're still pretty healthy, so it's not that big of a problem if you really think about it. Now we're just sieging this tower even without the Baron. It's completely fine. We get the tower. We lifesteal using our Bork back to full HP. And of course, we also have Redemption from Nautilus. And we also have Harmonic Echo from Lux. So just a lot of like healing from our team in general. Wukong doing the red buff. Now Ziggs makes a mistake, overextends completely. But this time I'm actually going to need the ult to snipe him off. There we go. Lee Sin trying to flank from behind once again, as he always does. But this time, you know, he's not going to get out. Like, I'm here now to 1v1 him. Even in melee range, we're able to kill him because we can auto and we can, of course, use our Q on him. Here, again, we missed the Q on the cannon, and we're able to eventually do get the kill on him, and we are legendary at this point. We get the shutdown on cannon as well. Now, here's a very awkward situation. Right? So I'm just trying to take this tower here. Nautilus and Sion are in a 1v1. You can see I'm focusing the tower here. We run out of minions, so I'm like, wait a minute. I'm still focusing the tower. I get the tower. Now, Victor's already pushed in the mid lane, and we're all just working on the base. Now, I realize at this point, we can just get the free kill onto the Sion, and then we can end the game, right? So here we get the kill on Sion, as I mentioned, and then we get the end of the game. So a pretty decent Ezreal game all in all. Kind of shows both his strengths as well as a little bit of his weaknesses. We don't quite see the lack of wave clear in this game, but I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.